What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Fit Dad Club podcast. My name is Jason Barrett, and this week, what we're going to be covering and what I want to touch on is something that is super common for a lot of guys who reach out to us and a lot of guys that we have conversations with, and that is your partner, right? That is the wife, the girlfriend, your co-parent, whoever it is that you're doing this with, and it's all about getting them on board for the journey. And what some of the common issues are when one person starts a health journey and a partner doesn't, or vice versa. There are a lot of challenges that can come up, mainly around communication, around finances, around time. And I want to help cover some of those for you guys today because it's so important that your home environment is helpful for you, is motivating for you, is pushing you forward when it comes to your health and fitness goals. If you're trying to lose weight and your partner is constantly encouraging you to get takeaway, encouraging you to buy snacks and buying chocolate and chips and leaving that in the house, encouraging you to drink, then it's going to be a really difficult battle to fight because they're going to feel like you guys aren't connecting or having fun together, and you're going to feel like they're not supporting you and your goals. So you need to have them on board. You need to have an environment that is supportive towards you achieving your goals, because environment is stronger than willpower. You can only say no to the snacks and the pizza and the guilt and the easy nights so many times before it becomes too much, because willpower is only, it's finite. So you need to have your partner on board, and you need to have whoever it is you're doing this with on board with you, not only from a support perspective, but also keeping you accountable. Because if you're paying money for something, or if you've started a journey, or you've set a goal and you vocalize it to them and you get them to hold you accountable, it's far more likely if they say, hey, you said you were going to go for that walk today. You haven't. Come on. Where is it? What are we going to do? We can't have pizza. You said you were on this diet. Like, you want to have them in your corner and supporting you. Now, not every partner is going to be this way. Not every partner is going to be super supportive. Not every partner is going to be destructive either. But it's about knowing your partner, knowing who you're in this with. And it's fundamentally about communication. And so many guys come to us and they go to get started, and then their partner tells them, oh, hey, well, no, we can't afford that. And the dad thinks that they can, and the partner thinks that they can't. The difference is oftentimes the dad knows how much it would mean to him and how much he struggled to do it alone. How much he struggled being in his own bubble, trying to figure out nutrition, trying to figure out training without any support, any guidance, any accountability, because maybe your workmates aren't that helpful. Maybe your friends aren't that helpful when it comes to the health and fitness stuff. You haven't got many friends in that space. So you reach out for external help. But then your partner's like, oh, no, sorry, we can't afford that. And my argument there is, well, maybe it's more important than other things that as a family you're spending money on for the dad, for you guys' mental health, for your physical health, to be there for your kids, to be there for your family, so you're not in a situation where in 10 years' time you've got heart disease and you're not battling illnesses and the inability to move when your kids have kids, when you've got grandkids coming, or maybe you've already got grandkids and you want to live longer for them. But it's never about having enough money or not enough money, or enough time or not enough time. It's about priorities and communication. The problem comes when dads spend money on stuff that the partners don't know about, also vice versa. But a lot of times we see dads get invested in something and then they don't talk to their partners. They don't talk to their family about it. And then they also invest their time and don't talk to their family about it. It's like, well, too bad. I've got to go to the gym 4 days a week. Fuck, that's 4 hours away from the family when your partner might be struggling with stuff at home and might be needing a bit more support. So maybe you need to set your sights lower in terms of how many workouts you're doing a week and how intense or how far away they are if you go into the gym versus going for a 20-minute run, right? But fundamentally, it all comes back down to communication. It comes down to how well are you communicating to your partner? How well are you both getting on each other's page, right? Whether it's at the end of the night, and it could be hard with kids. Right, they're naturally, especially when you have young kids, they're naturally quite loud, and there's not a lot of space and time to sit down and have a chat until after they've gone to sleep. And usually at that point, you're exhausted and you just want to go to bed, or you just want to relax and switch your mind off. But it's important to have those conversations. Number one is you've got to open up about how important this is to you. Because if you just say, oh, I just kind of want to go on a fitness program, I kind of want to get fit, well, that might not be worth whatever it is you're going to pay for, a fitness coach or a program. But if you're like, hey, look, I've been feeling really down about myself physically, and I really feel like I need the support and the structure so I can get back to feeling like myself again because I'm feeling down, I'm feeling, fat, and I'm feeling unhealthy, and I'm feeling like ashamed to take my shirt off in front of the kids, and I'm feeling like I'm not being a good role model, and I need to kick up the ass to make that happen. That might be more in the budget. That might be something that you can change things around and make work. Same thing when it comes to time, right? It doesn't have to be, again, 4 hours a week in the gym. It can be a couple of half an hour sessions at home that you can do. But having that half an hour to yourself when it's like, look, I feel like I am failing my family physically because I don't feel like I'm living up to the best standard. I don't feel like I'm taking care of my health and teaching my kids that all of a sudden becomes a little bit more, it becomes more likely that your partner will say, yeah, you know what? Or like, go for it. You take that time. Like, and you find a compromise together. So it's not my way or the highway. It's not one or the other, but it's about finding that middle ground, finding that compromise. But first, you've got to be honest with them. You've got to let them know how you are feeling physically. Because too many of the dads we speak to open up to us and they're like, yeah, I'm not feeling like a real man. I'm not feeling like I'm leading my kids. I feel like I'm leading them down a dark path. I can see them starting to gain weight, or my kids are running away without me and I can't catch up to them, and I want to be able to do things with them, but then they don't take the action because they haven't communicated to their family, fuck, how far behind do I feel like I am? And how important is this to me? Because there's a difference, as I said, between, oh, I'm just going to go on a fitness thing versus, no, I really need to make a change in my life because if I don't, this is the path I see myself going down and I'm struggling mentally, I'm struggling physically. Being open and honest and raw with your partner is incredibly important. And it's not about putting anything on them. And the same if they're not in a very supportive place and they're, bringing home chocolate or bringing home chips or whatever, that often comes from a place of insecurity from them. If you're both overweight or you're both in a position where you need some to work on your health, and you're doing it and they're not, it can be a bit of a mirror sometimes for them, and it can cause some friction. And it's important that you're not accusatory and you're not blaming them, but you come from a place of understanding, because we've all been there, right? In a place where it's like, I've gained weight and I've not wanted to be confronted with it, and I don't want to be made aware of how much I haven't been focusing on my health. And so I kind of lash out. So it's important not to blame them for that, but to be as supportive as you can be and just focus on your goals as much as you can. And, do your best to bring them along with you on the journey, but don't make it pressure. Don't make it like they have to do it, but just support them in their decisions and their choices, and then have that conversation and say, look, I know that it's, that you like to have these snacks around. I'm finding it really hard to resist temptation when they're there. So can you either, hide them from me so I don't see them, put them somewhere else so they're not in the cupboard when I just walk past? Or, can you buy a few less of them? Or even it could be as simple as buying, if chips are your weakness, for example, instead of buying one big bag of chips that you'll accidentally eat, 4 or 5 servings of, getting those little bags, like the little kids bags that you would, pop in a kid's lunchbox, getting one of those little bags. And so, cool, I have now a portion controlled version of the snack that I might want to have. There are many ways you can go about this. But fundamentally, first of all, you have to be convicted in your goals. You have to be rock solid in what it is that you want to achieve, because if your partner senses that you're 50-50 on it, they're not going to want you to spend money or time doing something that you just go backwards in. So you've got to have conviction, and you've got to have clarity for yourself on, I'm going to do this. This is why I'm going to do this. This is how important it is to me. And you've got to be able to communicate to them with love, with respect, with openness, so that they see where you're at and what's going on for you, and continually have check-in points. If the issue is time, continually having check-ins like, hey, do are you feeling like you're struggling a bit more with me not being around as much in the afternoon when I'm doing this run? Or maybe you're able to take the kids out to the park and have that be your workout, right? Because the rest of it is just food. The rest of it is just managing your diet and making sure you're not eating like complete shit during the dinners with your family. At the same time, you don't have to have chicken breast and broccoli and rice, and doesn't have to take over all of your family's meals. There's ways you can make it work where you have enjoyable family meals that still hit your protein goals, that can make sure your family has a healthier, less calorie dense diet as well. All benefits. But it comes down to communication. It comes down to having chats with your partner, consistent chats, consistent check-ins about how you're going and what the future looks like. And if you're both on the same page about this stuff, awesome, right? And if you're consistently checking in, awesome. But if not, communication is the lifeblood of a relationship. If you don't have time for adequate communication, for consistent check-ins, how are you going? How are you going with this? How are you going with that? Having the ability to, pivot and change as time goes on. If you don't have that, then you stay stuck in a way of doing things that maybe isn't working anymore, or maybe needs to shift, or maybe needs to change. So continuing to have those conversations with empathy, understanding that if they're in an unsupportive place, it may be because of their own stuff. And if they are, if they're not aware of what's going on for you, making them aware of what's going on for you, and just communicating it, not from a place of, hey, now you have to help me do this, but more so from a place of, I just want to share with you, my partner, what's going on for me. So there's a couple of key things when you start out this journey. Having a supportive environment is incredibly important, and being able to speak to your partner about it, being able to be open and honest with them about it, and they'll appreciate you for that, because they get a glimpse into what's going on for you, and they can help and support you in any way that they can, right? And ideally, they are a helpful and supportive partner. But just know that if they're not on this journey, maybe some of their own stuff. So don't try and pressure them or guilt them too much in that regard. But having your partner on board is one of the key things. If you need some support and some help with that, feel free to let us know. Shoot us a DM on Instagram. Feel free to rate and review the podcast and let us know any topics you would like us to cover in the future. But that's it for this week. I'll look forward to speaking to you all next week. Until then, peace out.